I accidentally tumble-dried this jumper. I think I've only increased its power. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. Back in December I shared with you a project that was, quite frankly, a bit silly. The cathedral dress was a staggering amount of work. Absurdly impractical, I have nowhere to wear it. I'm actually not sure what possessed me. Needless to say, after releasing that video, I almost immediately embarked on a project to make it even more work and even more impractical. The cathedral dress features a little over 9 stained glass windows. And just like real stained glass windows, they just don't look that impressive unless there's light shining through them. That's right folks, we're making this thing light up. I started with several meters of crystal organza that, you know what, I don't even remember. I have the kind of life where I end up with random lengths of random fabrics in my workroom. I've stopped questioning it, which I proceeded to turn into an underrobe. However, filming see-through white fabric when almost everything in your workroom is white or off-white doesn't exactly result in engaging footage, so I've prepared this short demonstration. The sleeves of the cathedral gown are made of 2 parts, the upper sleeve and the drop. This makes it a little more economical to cut out. The upper sleeve, instead of having a regular curvy sleeve head, has an elongated shape like this. The body of the robe is made of 2 big rectangles, with the top corners taken off like so, and this all fits together like an incredibly wide raglan shirt. I cut the remaining organza into strips, which I folded in half to be puffy fluffy ruffles, which I put around the outer edge of the sleeves and the neckline, which is still very wide. I would later add a drawstring to the neck to bring it all in, like a little choir boy collar, and to the wrists to hold them in place when it turns out that battery packs are really heavy, but for now I'll leave the whole thing flat to add the lights. The lights are just star-shaped fairy lights that I originally bought in the January sales years ago and have already been to 1 LARP and my wedding. I probably could have sewn these on by machine with a zigzag, but I wasn't super confident of not sewing through the exposed copper wires, so we did it the slow way and I whip-stitched something like 20 meters of wire onto organza by hand. Don't do this, it was so tedious and fiddly, it took literally months, but if you are going to disregard all advice and do this anyway, I found it worked best to hold the organza as like a fold and then stitch the wire along the top. Once I'd sewn all the lights in, I had to figure out what to do with the battery packs. Yes, this is the wrong order, I live to serve as an example to others, so I made these cute pouches out of a quilting cotton scrap and top stitched them onto the organza. I added an extra one at the centre back of the neck a bit later for reasons that will remain secret for approximately 60 seconds longer. Because you see, at this point, the thing was basically done. It had taken a month or 2, sure, but we were ready to go now. Right? Not exactly. Because given the opportunity to horribly overcomplicate something, why wouldn't I horribly overcomplicate it? The whole ensemble was just missing something. Something extra. It's the 3D printer again, isn't it? I found a bunch of different Gothic window designs on Thingiverse, test printed a bunch and then just printed a lot without much of a plan. And given that the 3D printer lives in the room that my partner is currently working from home in and I could only use it in certain times, progress was slow. But I eventually had a whole bunch of different windows. Luckily they were all black, so I didn't have to paint anything this time. I just had to painstakingly glue organza to the back of each piece, let it dry, and then trim off the excess with tiny scissors. If you're thinking, that doesn't sound like a quick process, surprise, this video is 6 months late. Then I started assembling them together with a hot glue gun and quickly realised I didn't really have enough windows. But we were already committed. I did the best I could, but I didn't really go for permanence or longevity, since even before I dropped it and broke a bunch of the hot glue joints, I was planning on disassembling it and making it even more. One more set of lights to go inside the crown, and the battery pack goes in that secret pocket on the back of the robes that we added back in January. So it's not finished, but it's basically finished. 7 or 8 months of work in total, a grand concept, a lot of fiddly details, hundreds of hours of 3D printing, a lot of materials, and all we have to do now is wait for it to get dark. thoughts. This is everything. Yeah, I want to remake the crown. I mean, I kind of have to. I broke it. But seriously, this totally surpasses what I had in my head while I was making this project. And that never happens. The first time I looked at the footage of the complete costume with all the lights on, which was on my tiny camera screen, in the dark, in the garden, still wearing it, because with a DSLR you have to check the footage every single time to make sure that it's actually been in focus. Otherwise bad things happen. Ask me how many times I had to record the speedrun video. I just did a little happy dance in the garden in a light up dress where all my neighbours could see me. Didn't even care. Hello friends, it's Editing Ash. Since I filmed the original outro of this video, things have changed somewhat. So I'm just chiming in here to say hi to all of the new people on the channel. I'm super glad you decided to stick around. I'd just like to take a moment to talk a little bit about what's going to happen going forwards, because this is all very exciting. I've been sewing a lot lately, and I'm currently sitting on the footage for a number of projects, some of which have literally been in progress for a year and a half. So the next few videos are going to be me working through that backlog of footage. We're going very medieval with a little bit of fantasy, and probably at least one Victorian project in there for good measure. For the past couple of months I've had a couple of projects kind of on the back burner. One of them is a series about making costumes for field LARP games. So making affordable, accessible, historically inspired fantasy costumes that are also practical and warm and protect you from the horrible English weather without spending a fortune or learning how to become a master tailor or anything like that. With the possibility of actual in-person events later on in the year kind of looming on the horizon, I'd like to get started on that sooner rather than later. And then the other project I'm working on, so last Halloween I did a video every day making a new costume based on a randomly chosen prompt from my general wardrobe. This year I want to do something a little bit different, probably not a video every day, so I collect vintage patterns. For some reason it has taken until now for me to realise that there are vintage costume patterns. I have no idea how many of those videos I will get done in time to release them in October, but that is something that I am working on. It's been really interesting looking into what is available and what fancy dress costumes were popular in what eras. However, that's two fairly big endeavours we're talking about. So, how does that impact you as an audience? Obviously, I'm really excited for you to be here for all of that. Just showing up and watching the videos is amazing, but they are a lot of work and they are a lot of materials. So if you are so inclined and feel like you would like to support the channel, I will post the links below to my Ko-fi page. Ko-fi is a website where you can make a one-off financial donation. It's literally a one-time thing. It's not like Patreon where you're signing up every month. I have set a goal on Ko-fi for the materials to cover the entirety, I think, this is where it turns out I'm really bad at budgeting, the entirety of the Field LARP wardrobe project. In addition to that, anyone who pledges over a certain amount, gonna ambitiously say £10 because that feels good. Anyone who donates £10 or more and leaves a name, because you can do it anonymously, I will basically stick your name on one of the Halloween videos. This is not a one-off thing, this is good from now until basically October, and I'll be mentioning it in the other videos. The videos themselves will exist and be on YouTube for free, that's not changing. Your support through watching the videos, commenting, liking and subscribing, if you feel so inclined, sharing it with your friends, all of that means much more to me than money, but also money is good. While I was focusing mainly on costumes for me to wear to my own events, I didn't feel it was appropriate to ask you guys to cover that, but now I'm making things specifically to go on the channel for you guys' educational purposes. I thought I would give you all the opportunity to help out with that. I feel like that's the most tactful way of saying we live in a capitalist hellscape and unfortunately I need money to survive. So, yeah. Cool. Glad we had this chat. I guess I'll see you next time.